Hello and welcome to In Business Talks 2, a weekly podcast about people who work together as a couple. Learn the secrets of business partnerships, the benefits and pitfalls of working together, be it husband and wife, father and son, mother and daughter, friends, relatives or any other combination of business partnerships. We are your hosts, Tracy and Ian Earle, founders of In Business, a networking and business support community. And together, we are In Business.
As well as speaking with other couples, we'll let you know of any useful business apps and websites out there that our members have come across and shared with us in our regular weekly online meetings. Plus, we'll tell you about our special bonus episode coming up this Friday, our Friday Fix, so be sure to listen all the way through to the end to find out more. Our special guests this week are Simon Glenn and Chris Rabbit, the creators of the new networking platform Meeow. So, without further ado, let's crack on with In Business Talk 2. Big welcome today to our two guests today, our special guests. We've got Simon Glenn and Chris Rabbit of Meeow.com.
And they're both waving, but it is a podcast, guys.
Yeah,
so they can't hear you. And they can't see you.
And of course, Meeow.com is a brand new platform for networking. Is that what you would call it, guys? Have I got the right terminology there?
I'm going to hand you over to my erstwhile colleague for that one because he's far more eloquent on that subject.
Yeah, essentially what Meow does is it brings, it takes the necessity that we've all had over the last 12 months to meet remotely, and rather than rehash the same big room events in technological spaces that frankly aren't suitable for it, we thought, hey, tech can make this better. And that's what we've tried to do with Meow, is use the tech that we have, use the impetus that we've had from lockdown to create online networking rooms that are just as intimate, just as personal, and just as useful and human as actually meeting in the real world.
Right. And so far, how's it going, guys? It looks like it's going to get off to a storm in the first few months it's been going. Is it fun?
Yeah. We spent the first year running a kind of beta test, testing the water platform on a combination of Zoom and Calendly while we were getting our kit together. I did say kit. And we went from the original 5 meetings a week that I was running, so one every weekday. We expanded to 58 across the week using the good graces of 28. I know nobody can see this at home, but everything other than green on there was a meeting or a Meow throughout the week. And we had 58 running a week, 28 volunteer hosts, 3 of whom were in the States. And we were flying, very popular, going across the world. We've now moved off that initial platform onto our own kit now. So every Meow is for 4 people. There are now no hosts because the platform itself, Meow itself, creates the structure of every meeting. So there's lots of on-screen guidance about what should be done when. When I say lots, it's the beginning and end, really. The bit in the middle is actually just conversation. And that's the whole point of networking, is we don't try and get in the way too much. There is no need for a host in any Meow, which means that we can aim to achieve our goal, which is 24-hour networking whenever you want. So previously we had 1 Meow an hour, so because we had one Zoom account, one meeting at once. Now Meow can, in theory, when there's enough people using it, handle infinite meetings at any one time. Because it is
fair to say it's taken over your lives then.
It is our life. Sorry, what I can't remember what life was like before.
BM, life BM before Meow, yeah.
So guys, obviously you got together. How did you get together? What happened? What was
This story is the ultimate. It is the ultimate
love story,
affirmation of our concept, if you like, as well as a love story, because I do love him very truly. But it's the ultimate affirmation of our concept, because Simon will tell the story because he's much better at it than me. But essentially, everything we tried to create on Meow happened on that first meeting, and that's what led to this business. So I'll let Simon tell the story because it is a good one.
Oh, go
Go
on.
on then. Fire away, Simon.
Meow was not intended to be a concept at all. It was desperation on my part, because I've been, Chris and I and you, actually, both of you, before COVID, were degenerate networkers. We'd turn up to the opening in an envelope, didn't we?
Yeah.
So when the doors were all closed, it was like, what now? What now? I genuinely thought it was going to be a bullet to the brain for Brand Boy, my business at the time, because I didn't lose the client. My biggest client closed its doors and therefore closed my monthly retainer.
Right.
And Calendly, which I dabbled with, and just get people to come and talk to me. It was just.
Were you
for
feeling
me.
lonely, Simon?
It was a selfish act. I didn't give a rat's ass about anybody else. So I thought I would invite 3 people to join me for a chat, one-to-one day. I one-to-more. I was just trying to get as many one-to-mores as possible.
Didn't
And I
actually
knew
invite us, did he?
No, never invited us. No, noticed that.
Hey, we're connected on LinkedIn, love. If you didn't see him,
I'm only joking, Simon. Don't worry.
So I gave it a name because I'm in branding. That was the first thing I did, and I called it a Zoom a day because I genuinely didn't want to. I didn't think it was going to go beyond 12 weeks of lockdown. Yeah, and I put out an ad on a Sunday afternoon, I believe it was, saying a Zoom a day keeps the bailiff away, and then a short post about how I just wanted people to come and talk to me. And we could help each other get through this terrible time. And was that popular? It was mental. Within an hour, I'd filled that day afterwards, the Monday. I'd put one in. I'd put a Calendly appointment in every day for the week and the following weeks. I just let it keep running. By the time that meeting came round, I was full for the week. And by the end of that week, I was booked a month and a half in advance.
Wow.
Everybody wanted on
to talk.
and they were booking that far ahead because they had to. There was no option. There was no meetings. In fact, I remember Phil Story rang me and said, "Your calendar's knackered." Why? What's up with it? He says, "There's no meetings available." When you're looking, he said, "Next week." I went, yeah, try again, Java. You need to be looking in May. He went, "What?"
So how did Chris become involved then? What happened? What was the?
Chris acted a bit quicker than Phil, and he booked onto a Zoom a day about 3 weeks after I started, I think.
It's actually a year ago today.
Is it?
Oh,
wow.
Oh, what a
crazy.
coincidence.
Yeah.
It was the 16th of April last year.
Wow.
I went on. That's mental.
Your anniversary then, guys.
Happy anniversary, guys.
Yeah. How apt we're on a podcast about couples and it's our anniversary.
Yeah. So did you two know each other beforehand?
Yes, we knew each other through networking.
Right.
We'd met before. We hadn't seen each other for a while, but we had met before. Mm-hmm. And I just had, bloody Phil Story's going to get a name check again. Talking to him about 3 days before, and he mentioned how much money he'd saved in business expenses in that first month of lockdown.
Yeah.
And it was eye-watering. He said he'd saved 1,200 quid just in business expenses, but hadn't felt like he'd been restricted in any way. That was the key. He'd done everything from home, but he hadn't had to cancel any meetings. He hadn't not been able to speak to anybody. None of his projects had broken down. Everything had been as normal, in inverted commas. But he'd done it all from home, and it had saved him a fortune. And it made me blush to think of how much time and effort and money I'd been splashing around for the last 6 years. And I promised myself there and then that I would never do that again.
Yeah, thank God for Zoom, though. Thank God for the technology.
Absolutely. If this had hit us in 1995, we'd all be...
we'd be stuffed, wouldn't we? Yeah, we'd be stuffed.
And game over. So I just had the first ideas about that a Zoom a day could be a permanent thing. And it was that very day, that Chris ended up on the Zoom a day. And somebody, not Chris as it happened, somebody did what everybody always did when they came on the Zoom a day initially was, isn't this different? Isn't it weird? Just 4 of us having a meeting. It's great, isn't it? And I went, yeah. It just so happens that I'm thinking of turning it into a business. And his ears pricked up and he latched on like a dog on a robber. Like,
so Chris, what was... Sorry, Chris, what was your speciality before Meow then? What was it that you...
So I was a portfolio sales director. So essentially my job was helping business owners turn their ideas into money.
There we go.
Right
Perfect.
place, right time.
Match made in heaven.
Yeah, exactly. And the thing is, on March the 13th, about 90% of my business just detonated. We got locked down, and all my clients, the vast majority of my clients, were like, "Well, that's it." Legitimate ones. Some of them were in. Actually, the one in the travel industry was the one that carried on the longest, to be fair, which I was amazed about. But there was people who did face-to-face training, so that stopped. Weirdly, I worked with a food business who had an enormous opportunity to I hate the word, but pivot. But they had lots of that. That for me was like the big project for last year, and we had it all mapped out. And to be fair, actually, I'd had the best quarter I'd ever had. First quarter of last year, it was crazy. My year was mapped out. I was, looking forward to a nice full calendar for the year. And yeah, on March the 13th, for whatever reason, 90% of that just went boom. So I'd set about it in a different way. I was doing what came naturally to me, and I was just on the phone all day, chatting to people, seeing where it was going, thinking that that's the way I would pull myself out in a similar way to Simon. And so I jumped on this meeting, and Simon's like, yeah, well, I'm going to think about it being a business. And because I was in the room, and Graham Shires was in the room, and I can't remember who else was in the room. Apologies if it was you.
It wasn't us. We weren't invited.
No. You, the general listener. If it was you, I apologise. Because we both had known Simon for years, it was like, right, tell us about it. And of course, I had one mind thinking, yeah, tell me about it, because I like this. And so he was chatting away, and he said, I've done some projections, and I've done this, and I've done that, and I'm going to keep it on Zoom and Calendly. And in my head, I'm thinking, no, you're not. No. This is bigger than that. So I kept my powder dry, and at the end of the meeting, like Simon says, I went, stay there, don't go anywhere, I want to talk to you. And from my perspective, it was just, right, okay, well, this is what I do. And I said to Simon, well, can I help you? Do you want to show me what you've got, and I'll sense check it for you, wasn't it? It was no more than that. Mm-hmm. It was just show me what you want to do, and I'll sense check it. And so he basically said, okay, well, it's going to be this, and it's going to be that, it's going to be the other. And I just thought, no, this is going to be massive. And the first thing I said to him is, do you need some money? And his face was just, and people,
boy, oh boy,
can't see my
money.
Yeah, you can't see my face, but Simon's face was like, extremely surprised, and he's like, "What? You mean you just want to invest just like that?" And I went, "Yeah, this is going to be massive.
Wow.
And this is what I think we can do, and we can do this, and we can do this, and we can do this,
right? And
we're going to build our own platform." And so Simon goes, well, "How the hell are we going to find the money for that?" And I'm just like, don't worry about that, we'll find it. and off we went. Yeah. And thankfully we did find it. And we've recently just closed a pre-seed funding round, so we're well set now for going forward. And yeah, it's very exciting times. We're now approaching 600 plus subscribers on Meow, and it's all from those little acorns.
So Simon, what was your gut reaction? What were you feeling the moment Chris suddenly said, what were your thoughts as soon as he said, well, we could take this big, we could take this, whatever? What was your gut reaction? Do you think, oh, wow,
it's my baby, yeah, I want to keep control? Or
what do you think?
Well, it's interesting. Interesting you should say that. My first reaction was, this man's a lunatic.
Has your opinion changed since?
Having had the pleasure of spending some time with him up to that, earlier to that point, I was merely confirming my original thoughts. But it did excite me. I can't deny that. And I was advised. I won't mention names. I was advised by a number of people that I should be fiercely protective of the idea, and not just give it away or share it too readily. But Chris and I come from the same egg here. We've both played a lot of rugby in our lives. we are definite team players, and that is my mindset. I mean, I've worked for myself on my own for 13 years. It's a bloody lonely place, isn't it?
It is.
And the idea of playing hardball with Chris and saying, oh, well, yeah, you can work me on this level, and if you achieve this goal, then I'll give you X% and blah, 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 blah. I was like, I'm not getting into any of that. That's not.
Well, I simply wouldn't have got into any of that.
No, exactly. And I didn't want to. I was like, I don't get off on benefiting more than my team do. You know what I mean? I love the idea of it being, one for all and all for one, if I've got that the right way around. So I was elated that somebody else, well, number one, he turned it into something I'd never thought it would have been in the first place. That was, tick box number one. And number two, I think I was just damn glad that there was somebody to share the experience with and the pain. Let's not beat around the bush. The pain and anguish of starting a new business in any sector, but an online a tech platform when neither of you have created anything of that like before is terrifying. There's no other word for it.
Yeah. So what was the biggest consideration you both had? The biggest sort of fear, I suppose, or the biggest concern of taking that first step, that plunge? If you like what you hear so far, make sure you never miss a show by clicking subscribe or follow. This podcast is made possible because of listeners like you. So thank you, we really appreciate your support. Now back to the show.
Both excited enough about the idea and both sufficiently possessed of the potential of it that I don't think we for 1 second thought it wasn't going to work, because there was no question, because we've both got a really strong work ethic. There was no question we wouldn't put the work in. There was no question that there was demand there. And actually, we were so stupid and naive that we didn't know we weren't supposed to do it.
Just did it.
We're not 25. We're not coders. We're not techies. We don't understand the guts of the products, if you like. We're working very hard to improve that knowledge, but we don't understand it. We don't have the ability to do it. Most tech startups start with guys who can code, and they create some software, and then they can find someone like me to try and sell it, or they go and find someone like Simon to make it look pretty, and to brand it and to give it a presence in the market. And that's the way around it goes. We started with a really good concept that revolved around people, because that's where we've got our expertise, is in people. The computer between your ears is the thing that we're interested in. And we came at it from that regard. So, right, okay, what do people want from this? How are they going to react to it? What are they going to feel about it? How can we involve people? What's the experience going to be like? And then we took that and gave it to some really, really excellent developers who created the software to make it happen. So, we completely went about it in the opposite way to what it's normally done. But like I say, we were naive enough to not know that we weren't supposed to do that, so we just went out and did it anyway.
And the sort of roles? Do you have different roles within the business then? Have you, or are they shared roles and responsibilities? How does it work?
This is the beauty of our civil partnership. I mean, partnership is that we complement each other really well. We're both, huge socialites, as Chris says. We're about people, so that is our common thread. But when it comes to money and business and all the technicalities of creating something like Meow, I don't know one end of a spreadsheet from another. Whereas that is Chris's domain. Chris is not a particularly creative, graphical visual person, and that's where I come in. Most of the functionality and the look of Meow comes from me. And we would never have got anywhere near where we are now without Chris's business acumen. So it's a perfect meeting. We've still got skills gaps, as Chris has already intimated, but as a ground up starting point, we were blessed.
Yeah, and what we're very, very good at is taking the kernel of something and bouncing it around a room between ourselves and coming out with something that's an awful lot bigger and better than it started out at.
Right.
Mm.
So we'll sit down and go, what do you think about this? And I'll usually take the completely opposite view just to get things going. And then we sort of mix it around a bit, bounce it around, have some fairly spectacular arguments, get a bit huffy with each other, and then actually come back to a situation where we got something that we really believe is workable. And because it's been tested in battle, if you like, because both of us are also extremely opinionated and very stubborn. So if an idea gets through that, it's one that's been well tried, if you like.
Yeah, vetted.
And that's one of the things I think we do best is that sort of crucible of good ideas, if you like. So.
Right.
And what challenges have you found working together?
To be fair, do you know what? Simon will say he's a realist. He's not. He's an appalling pessimist, and he gets himself very, very overwrought about stuff. And a lot of what, and I'm an appalling optimist. So of course those two worldviews collide quite regularly. So I'm like, no, it'll be fine, and Simon's like, no, we're all going to die. And we sort of, again, where we are polarized, means that the path that we take is generally one that's not too far away from the middle. So it's quite nice that way. But in terms of challenges, it's really been that trying to find the way forward when you reach one of the natural stopping points. So we started, and the thing is, probably the biggest challenge is probably been looking for investments, hasn't it, Si? Because that's taken an inordinate amount of time. So we started looking for investment too early. We incorporated Meeow in May, and we had the bones of a platform ready to sort of show people in August, wasn't it, Si?
Something like
It
that.
didn't work then, but it was we could show people what it looked like. But of course, we were possessed with these highfalutin ideas that we were going to change the world. But of course, investors don't look at it like that, particularly investors in Yorkshire. So I started doing the rounds. Yeah, I started doing the rounds, trying to talk to people about trying to raise some money. And I'll be honest, I was dismayed at the reaction I got. Some of them, I am absolutely not naming names in this, but some of the offers I received were, quite frankly, insulting. And I don't take anything personally in business, but they were insulting.
Right.
And lots of the investors, I'm ashamed to say, in a city as digitally savvy as Leeds, just simply didn't understand what we were trying to do. And actually, that's one of the big things we've had, is trying to explain what Meow's all about. Because to us, it's like meat and drink. It's like, yeah, you get in a room, you talk to 4 people, and then you go back your separate ways. And if you can help each other, great. And like, what? And try to get that across to people in a way that means they can back it. It has been extremely tough. But as I say, we started too early. The idea or the business wasn't ready to take investment at that point. But because I'm the way I am, I'm like, no, ahead, onward. Well, sod the investors, I said to Simon, we're going to go crowdfund it. And of course, Simon, God love him, is exceptionally trusting of me when I say things like this. So he's like, okay, let's go. So we set about building pitch decks and all this stuff, and it took weeks of our lives to get this done. And so we embarked upon the process. We were accepted for a fundraise by Crowdcube, which was very exciting. It's like, woo, we're on the way. So I invested a huge amount more time, and actually, particularly on my side, I was buried up to my eyes in paperwork and due diligence and evidencing and all the rest of it for a month. And so we started, and actually the valuation that Crowdcube put on, or the valuation was just like, hey, how much do you want to raise? And we say, I don't know, 250 grand. And they say, how much equity do you want to give away? And we say, oh, I don't know, 10%. And they're like, yeah, that's fine. Yeah, we'll just put a £2.5 million valuation on your business. And we're like, okay, this is exciting. We don't understand.
Can we sell it now, please?
Yeah. We don't understand why you've said this to us, but hey, we've got a business worth £2.5 million. Isn't this exciting?
Woohoo!
Let's go. And so we did that, and we came agonizingly close. But where we were, and as I say, when I say we started too soon, is the business that we sent live on Crowdcube in November was the business that existed in August. So our business looked nothing like the business we were trying to sell stock in. And then by the time our raise finished at the end of January, the business looked nothing like it did in November, because progress was happening at a prodigious rate at this point. And so we were a world away from what we were pitching. And so we're trying to backpedal and educate the investment community and all the rest of it about where we were. And it just didn't work. The premise was too early when we first started. And you can't get past that because you're not allowed to change your pitch. So we came agonizingly close. And the deal with Crowdcube is if you don't hit your number, you don't get a shilling.
Right.
So we came within $4,000 on a 150 grand raise. And actually, to be fair, one thing, and this is my fundamental issue with crowdfunding. My fundamental issue with crowdfunding is they are not allowed to tell you to use FOMO, basically fear of missing out, to generate investment interest, because it's against the rules. But the whole premise is FOMO. You start deliberately low, and they said to us, "Oh yeah, put your target on at 50 grand," and we're like, "We don't need 50 grand. We need 150 grand. Actually, we'd really like 250 grand. So what's the point in us putting our target at 50 grand? It won't get us anywhere. We'll still need to raise again." And they're like, no, you'll overfund. And we're like, okay, but how are we going to overfund by 5 times the original amount? For us, it was too big a thing. But what they can't say is, you have to do it like this because the fear of missing out will drive investment.
Right.
They sort of hint at it, but they have to be FCA compliant by saying, no, if your run rate is this, then you need to raise this. And we were quite bullish in that, no, we need to get this. There's no point us doing it otherwise. Anyway, it wasn't the most enjoyable experience I've ever had. Let's put it that way.
It was very valuable experience, though. We know what we did wrong. We know what we did wrong. We know what's wrong with crowdfunding now. We probably never touch it again. But there were a lot of good things that came out of that process. We met a lot of good people as a result. So we don't regret it in the slightest.
No, not at all.
And obviously, can I just ask you, you guys were, you knew each other before all this started, before you got together. Would you say now, is it a really strong, not just a business relationship, it's a friendship has evolved as well now, I would imagine? Because if you do you hate each other, basically? I mean, what's
love-hate relationship.
How does that work now? Has that changed from what you knew, from when you got together a year ago today on that very first meeting? I should imagine, how things have dramatically changed now?
Well, Chris said some time back now, I can't remember what we were talking about, but it was something to do with me being present at something, and I said, are you sure I should be there? And he said, and I nearly cried when he said, you're basically family, what's the matter with you? And I'm like,
so that's good, isn't it? That's how it should be.
We spend more time, or I spend more time with Simon than I do with my wife. So virtually, we're all bubbled up, aren't we? So he's very much in the
to know actually where your name, how you got the name.
Well, that was a bit of a wrestle. Not a wrestle with Chris, a wrestle with the domain world. So I was coming up with all kinds of names. As soon as I knew I was going to turn it into a business, I knew I couldn't call it a Zoom a day because I didn't fancy Mr. Zooms or Mrs. Zooms lawyers crawling all over me. So I had to come up with something different. And I went through a number of different things. The shower I find is my main thinking area. And I went through a whole host of stuff, and I came up with Meet Now, which isn't a huge leap, I'll grant you. But when I checked it out, it turned out to be some kind of dubious-looking teenage dating app.
So after 16 hours looking at that website, he decided that he couldn't do it.
Possibly not
so
something we need to be associated with.
How did you transition on to?
I asked a few people on there what they thought, and I thought, no, we could. And looking for domain names, by the way, is a terrible experience. When you come up with a great idea, you come up with a great name, and then you try and get a domain name that's anything like trying to buy a private number plate in your name. And the most infuriating part of it is that every single domain that you want has been taken, but there's no website on it, and you're like, the insanity of this situation. Anyway, so I invented a word. It is an invented word, by the way, because it's not spelt correctly as meow should be spelt. So I took my original teenage dating app name, Meet Now, and jammed the two words together to make meow.
I hated it.
So it's me and ow. And Chris hated it. And if I'd given him any choice and not just gone ahead and designed the logo and designed the website and everything before I showed him it probably wouldn't be called
What would you
Meow.
called it then, Chris?
Oh, I've
I
no
was-
idea. That time is so long ago and so much mileage under the wheels now.
Yeah,
I couldn't.
yeah.
But I love it now. But at the time, I was like, you are you insane? Meow? What are you talking about? We'll get a load of crazy cat people on there. What's going on? No.
Yeah, we did say from the outset that the subject of cats would be banned in all
then
marketing,
Yeah.
through that
just
way.
so that
Yeah.
we didn't create any confusion about the whole.
So going forward then, guys, I imagine you're hoping to go, well, you are global already, I suppose, but massive. Are you hoping to go massive? What's the 5-year plan then for Meow? Where are you going to be in 5 years' time, with apart from obviously
World domination.
In 5 years, you won't be seeing us, mate. We're going to be on a beach somewhere under the biggest palm leaf you've ever seen, and you'll never see us again. That's the 5-year plan. What we should be asking is, what's the 2-year plan? Because, well, Chris will go into a little bit more detail, but the guys that we invest in us are seasoned professionals in this game, and they have educated us. Well, they've begun educating us on the way of things in the tech market specifically. And the roadmap was looking like it was going to be a fast one before we spoke to them. Now it's like hitting the hyperspace button in the Millennium Falcon. All I can see at the moment is white lines racing towards us like on Star Wars. And it is, well, Chris will expand on what his role in this business is likely to be in the near future.
So Simon and I are going to be having probably less arguments, because essentially my job going forward is fundraising.
Right.
So essentially, with these sorts of businesses, and actually we built this business from the outset to be, if you like, a profitable old-fashioned business. As I say, 2 old-fashioned business owners come into a tech platform saying, right, okay, we're going to build this to make money, to give us a lifestyle, to provide, an income, not in terms of let's grow it to, however much and then sell it as quickly as possible. Although, we were angling for that sort of thing, but maybe not as quickly as all that. And now it's like, right, okay, we've just finished a funding round, and the first thing our lead investor said is, right, let's start getting ready for the next one. And I'm like, what? And to be fair, it's absolutely right. We need the money to do what we're going to do with it. But it's all telescoped timescales now. So it's right, let's do this. And when we got the money through for the last round, the first thing he said was, have we got the meow.com domain? And I went, no, it's $8,000. And he's like, no, we need that, go buy it. And to be fair, the guys are not there to tell us how to run the business. They've been very, very clear about that. It's like, hey, we've got other stuff going on. It's your business, you get on with it. We're just going to back you and help you. He just said, yeah, get it. We need it for the next raise. And so we're going back into fundraising mode 1st of May.
Right.
So the next couple of weeks is like revising the pitch deck, which Simon is extraordinarily good at, in terms of putting together messages that are beautifully presented, as well as, with some decent content in there. And we're back on the investment carousel as of the 1st of May. And
that's the biggest shock.
Yeah, and that should then give us
the biggest shock.
That should then give us the runway, which is a word we've been introduced to in the last 12 months. The runway to enhance the product and recruit and to build the business out into a situation where we are then catching up with the revenue that we should be generating at the time.
Yeah.
So it's really exciting. It's a lot of fun. It's terrifying. And really exciting. It's all very new to us.
But to give you the answer that I think you were looking for, Ian, our goal, and obviously we've got subscriber goals for the next 6 months, the next 12 months, etc. We basically need as many people on Meow as possible, because it is a platform that requires people. You know, we're introducing 4 people together at once. So we need a huge throughput of people using the platform, and we're trying to cross a 24-hour time spread. You know, we want it's always on. You know, the sun will never set on Meow, basically, and so our major goal is subscribers, get people on. We've got a 30-day free trial now, so people can try it, find out if they like it, and then if they do want to carry on. And we really hope that people use this ongoing as not just as a new business tool. In fact, the new business should be 3rd, 4th, 5th on the list of benefits that you get from Meow. It's about connecting with new people, collaborating with new people, getting advice off new people, getting opinion from new people, and using it as a regular kind of sounding board almost, and a self-development tool as well as anything else. But our eventual goal is to go from our current setup, which is a Meow starting every hour on the hour across the clock, if there are people there to meet, of course. Middle of the night's a bit barren at the moment.
Yes, just as a disclaimer, we cannot guarantee you an audience at 3 o'clock in the morning.
Yeah, if you come home from the pub, now that you can go to the pub and you're feeling like you'd like a chat, then maybe Meow is not the
maybe
place
go back
to
to that other
yet.
website you were talking about.
The Meet Now. But our eventual goal is to have a platform where anyone in the world at any time of day can hit the Meow Now button, which we will put on the website once this is possible, and be in a room with three new people within 30 seconds to network. So ultimate flexibility. So basically the video version of LinkedIn. You can use LinkedIn whenever you want.
Right.
You'll be able to use Meow whenever you want.
Sounds good, guys.
What were you going to say, Chris?
And then saying if we can achieve that in terms of usership and UX on the site and architecture and all the rest of it, if we can achieve that, then everything else will take care of itself. So, but that's the goal, to have enough users so that anyone at any time can jump on and be in a meeting within 30 seconds. That was always our sort of guiding light, and it's what sits on the horizon for us to say, right, okay, this is the way to go.
Some big goals, but I think it sounds like you're on your way to those.
Sounds like you're on your way, guys. It sounds like you're skyrocketing to the moon and beyond. Well done, guys. It's all exciting stuff, isn't it?
Yeah.
Thank you very much.
Just very quickly then, if people want to get in touch with either of you, I assume you're both on LinkedIn, or do you just want people to connect straight onto Meow or whatever? Because we'll put your link in the show notes and everything. So we'll put the website.
We're more than happy to talk to anybody that's thinking about having a look at Meow.
Right. Okay.
Yeah, we're keen to talk to everybody. Currently, Chris and I are manning the support ticket email address, so we're talking to Meowists on a regular basis. I'm making a point of ringing anybody that messages in. By the way, if you are a Meowist and you are sending a support ticket in, do put your phone number on, because I want to call you. I prefer talking to people than just sending endless emails to talk about their experiences, what they like, what they don't like. We know that this will stand or fall on its ability to provide the functionality that people want. And we don't claim to be the experts in this. We're not telling people what they should do. We want them to tell us what they want.
Yep.
So
what we'll do in the show notes, we'll put if you're okay with that, we'll put your LinkedIn details in there and the access to the Meow as well if they want to
Please
find
do,
out. Yeah. Okay. Right.
So thank you very much, guys.
Thank you very much, guys. It's been really interesting. Enjoyed our chat. It's been good finding out a bit more about you guys as business partners and as
not couples.
Business partners.
Yes. No presents, please. We'll donations to St Gemma's Hospice.
Yeah.
Thank you.
So it's been good to chat with you both, guys. Thank you for coming on. We've appreciated it. And it's been good to talk to you both.
Good luck with your new venture.
Yeah.
Thanks ever so much.
We'll watch this space. I think it's a thing with me. I'll watch this space. Yeah.
Great stuff.
Excellent.
Thanks,
you very
guys.
much.
Sign up.
Yeah. Or sign up. Yeah. Sign up. Thanks, guys. Thanks.
Take care.
Cheers now.
Bye.
Bye.
Cheers. Bye.
And now we come to our knowledge share of the show. So, Tracy, for this week, what is the knowledge share?
Well, Ian, this week's knowledge share is a website, and it's called onetab.com. And it's whenever you find yourself with too many tabs open, you click the one tab icon to convert all your tabs into a list. And when you need to access the tabs again, you can either restore them individually or all at once. When your tabs are in a one tab list, you'll save up to 95% of your memory because you will have reduced the number of tabs open in Google Chrome.
Oh wow, that sounds a really useful app, that one, Tracy. Thank you very much.
Give it a try. Let us know how you get on.
Excellent. Well, we're almost at the end of this week's episode, but before we go, we're excited to tell you about our bonus episode this Friday on the Friday Fix, where we will be discussing a business-related subject with a fellow business owner who will be sharing their advice, thoughts or knowledge on a particular topic. This week's episode is called The 5 Whys, and that's given to us by Karen Amos of Brightbird.
Our special guests on next week's podcast are business partners Michelle Cohen and Bren Adams of Social Sender. We're really looking forward to speaking to them and digging deeper into their experiences as a business couple. Also, if you'd like to join us at one of our online networking meetings, the link will be in the show notes. Thank you so much for joining us this week on In Business Talks 2. We hope you've enjoyed it, and if you have, all that we ask is that you simply tell a friend about the show. We would really appreciate it.
So until next time, this is Ian and Tracy, and together
we are in business. Goodbye.
Goodbye.